both of us out to learn all of this stuff, and it helps us help you when there's questions. We do have some little helpful handouts here on the freshwater system, which you may or may not have already. Okay, there you go. So, I don't know if it's been explained yet or not. We're kind of doing things in groups here. So we're going to start here at the water care portion of it, balancing the water and taking care of it on a regular basis, and then we'll move to a different section and go from there. Okay? And our goal is to spend about 15 minutes in each section. We do want to make sure we've got everybody's questions answered though. So there'll be time for questions again later if we don't quite get to them, okay? So to start off, let's talk about water balance. All of you are on the freshwater system, so everything is pretty much the same. On the top of the sheet here, below where it says spa model in gallons, it talks about the balancing parameters and where we want your pH, 7.4 to 7.8, your total alkalinity, 40 to 120 parts per million, your calcium hardness, 25 to 75 parts per million. And then your salt is actually, we wanted about 1,500 to 2,000 parts per million. Okay? And then
Is that not on here? Or am I just not?
It reads a little incorrectly. So we wanted about here, about 1,500 to 2,000. Okay? Is our ideal ranges. And we want to maintain our chlorine level between 3 and 5 parts per million. So when you start up, when you first add water, you guys have already taken care of that, right? Mm-hmm. Fill it up. This is where most of the work comes in, where we want to make sure everything is balanced out correctly. Does everyone here have a the on-the-go soft water softener, or do you have the pre-filter?
I have the pre-filter, is that the big one?
Yeah, that one screws onto the end of the hose. Does anybody have the water softener?
The tank looking one?
Yeah. Okay. So both of those work really great. The one that just hooks onto the end of the water hose does a great job of removing metals and some impurities from the water. The mini softener helps reduce the calcium for you, so it's a little bit less work at the beginning. Some of you may have used a pillow-looking thing. Can you grab a vanishing act? Which you'll want to use every time you drain and refill if your calcium level is high. So this came in your package, and this fits right over the main drain of the tub. So you may not have needed it because you had the water softener that you use, but if your calcium level is over 75 parts per million, you're going to need to use this pillow to bring that calcium level down.
So where does that sit then?
On the bottom drain of the tub.
Okay.
The water just circulates right through it. It collects the calcium, and then you can just throw this away.
And that's what we use when we drain our tub.
When you start from fresh, yep.
So when you fill it up.
So and that came with our saltwater box.
It did,
Yeah,
yes.
that white box, if you saw that.
Well, we never hooked it up even when we filled it the first time.
Okay,
I mean, it's still in the box.
okay.
Hard water.
And it just depends on how you filled it as well. Welcome, everybody.
So it's only when you drain it?
Only when you, fresh water, when you're refilling it.
When you're refilling it?
Which you would do every 6 to 12 months, okay? Just depends on how often you use the hot tub. If you're using it almost every day, you may have to drain every 6 months. If you're using it less than that, 3 times or less, you may be able to get a year out of it. It'll just depend on how many people are using it and how often it's being used.
And our little machine doesn't tell us that. We just gotta know that.
Correct. It's not gonna say it's time to drain. I would just mark it on your calendar, okay? Also, if you bring water samples in, we'll be able to help you determine that as well, when it is time time to drain and refill. If you don't already know, we do free water analysis. You can bring a sample in at any time, and it prints out a nice recipe of what you need to do to balance the water and get it in shape for you.
I've used that frequently, and they've never said they're too busy, they never said wrong time. I bring it in, they take it for me, and then if I don't have the product that it's low on or high on, but we use it really a big help, because you think your strips are working, but you're not always quite sure where that machine helps that way.
Absolutely. So when you first fill it, the first thing you want to do is add a little bit of stain and scale to the water and wait 24 hours. The stain and scale just helps prevent metals and minerals from causing any staining or scale formation on the tub. So that's the first thing that we want to add, and then 24 hours later we can start balancing the water and taking care of that. You're going to want to balance your calcium hardness, your total alkalinity first. Okay, and in this area, you guys have really hard water. And so, and we take a little bit of pH decreaser to bring that alkalinity down where we need it to be. Again, we can help you out with a water sample and tell you exactly how much to add. And then once that's within range, then we can work on the pH and get the pH where it needs to be.
I have a question. If we have a water softener inside our home, do you sell like the adapter for like the kitchen sink or something that you can run your hose through to fill up your?
We don't sell that here, but you can probably pick that up at like a Lowe's or Home Depot.
You can put a garden hose on a washing machine, so a washing machine outlet, fix the garden hose so you can get your
Yeah. So if you can just find a spigot to where that soft water is running, then you can run your hose off that. If not, you can't find that, we do sell on the goes, which is basically a portable water softener. So that's another option that you can just use when you're filling a hot tub.
And then, of course, we talked about the calcium and balancing that out as well. After that, we can put the salt in, and we recommend adding the salt a cup at a time. Let the jets run, and on the salt itself, on the back, it'll recommend for your gallons how much salt you need to add. Okay. The great thing about this is once the salt is in there, it's pretty much in there. And so this isn't something you're going to have to add regularly. 1 cup at a time, run the jets, 5 minutes, and then you can test it and make sure that this took you to the correct level. Okay?
And with that, we always say kind of start low, because, I mean, it's always easier to add more salt as you go, because you just kind of chip your way up. But once you get too high, the only way to take it out is by draining it, and that's why she said you never really have to add over and over, it's because it stays in there. Even with evaporation and stuff, that's going to stay in the water. So the only time it really comes out is if it splashes out, comes out on your body, or when you drink. So that's the biggest thing that I've ran into, is just kind of gradually add it. You don't want to add, because once you overshoot, the only way to get out is by draining. So kind of slowly work your way out.
Very good point, Jesse. So you can add half of it initially, and then start doing it more slowly, a cup at a time or half a cup at a time. Just watch that level. We don't want to get too high.
Because that's another thing with that, is because I've ran into, is because water softeners or the on-the-goes that we sell, is that actually adds salt to your water as well. That'll actually bring your salt level up, because that's using the salt to soften that water, where that water is going to have a higher salt residual than just your normal tap water.
Okay. So once we have it balanced, we've got the salt added, then we're just setting the controls to your spa size and your use level. And the fresh saltwater owner's manual that came with it actually recommends what that should be. Okay. We are going to recommend that you start on the high side, because once again, it's easier to go, in this case, it's easier to go down than it is to try and go back up. Because once we start using the tub, we start adding things to the water, right? We wear lotions, we we carry the day with us. Some people shower ahead of time, some people don't, so we bring things into the water. So we're gonna start high. We usually recommend starting that level at 10 and adding some granular chlorine to the water to get chlorine levels started. Initially on fresh water, you're not going to see a chlorine level initially start with the freshwater system because it goes through a period of cleaning the water first. And even though you're using a pre-filter or an on-the-go, there's still some minerals and impurities in the water that need to be cleaned out. So it could be 2 or 3 days before it actually starts producing chlorine. So first fill up your tub, you get it balanced, you get your salt in there, you set your salt system to, we recommend 10 because it's producing the maximum amount of chlorine at that time. And then you're gonna add a little bit of a granular chlorine to the water. And we recommend for the first week or so that you test it every day, and if there isn't chlorine in the water, you add a little bit of the granular until it starts maintaining on its own. When it starts maintaining it on its own, that means it's finished cleaning the water, it's producing that chlorine, and it'll start operating the way that it should. Does that make sense? Okay. A couple other things with that is water temperature. So if the water is below 94 degrees, you may get a light on the front of your tub and the chlorine isn't going to produce correctly. So don't be alarmed if initially you might be getting an error light on your tub. If it's not up to temperature, as soon as it is, that error light will go away. Okay?
Is that the one that's on the panel? The little
Yes,
remote thing or whatever?
that is correct. And sometimes during the summer, some people, there's a summer timer mode on the hot tubs. If you put it into summer timer mode, and basically what that does is, if your sun is in direct sunlight most of the day, your spa is so efficient, it holds the heat of the water in, right? And then you've got your circulation pump running to clean it all the time, and it'll pick up a little bit of the heat off of that circulation and actually cause your water to heat up even more and possibly overheat. So during the summer, when you've got that direct heat, it may be recommended that you put your spa into what's called summer timer mode. What that does is it cuts the circulation off for 12 hours of the day, and you can have it just run in the evening when the sun isn't shining on it, so it'll maintain that temperature. However, during the 12 hours that it's off, you'll get that error light on your front panel because the salt system isn't working during that time. And because of that, you may have to raise that level on your salt system up to a higher number during the time that you have the summer timer mode on. Does that make sense? Many of you may not have had to use that, which is great. But once everything is operating, again, we recommend you start at 10. Once it starts holding that chlorine level, you can start backing down from 10 until you find the proper level. Now, many of you have had your tub for a little while, so you probably know what level you keep your tub at. Generally somewhere between 3 and 8 is the norm. It just depends on usage and size of tub. Does that make sense? Okay. Every 10 days, you're gonna get a notification on your screen that it's time to check your system. And this is just making sure a couple of things. Number one, you wanna make sure that you're dipping your strip, checking your pH and alkalinity, adjusting those as you need to, and then making sure your chlorine level is holding between 3 and 5 parts per million. This gives you an opportunity to change the level on your spot control panel if you need to. Sometimes some people may use the tub more often in the winter than they do the summer, so you may have to adjust that level here and there. Okay. But as you do that check-in, we'll go over that with the controls here shortly. There's a couple things you'll be checking. You'll check the water. We'll test the salt system and make sure everything is going well and will confirm the level that you have your salt system at. We do recommend and like to see a water sample monthly if possible. That just helps us determine that your salt level is staying good, because things over time can possibly cause that salt level to raise, okay? That your calcium level is staying good, because it can raise over time as well. Again, you guys tend to have hard water in this area, so whenever you add fresh water, it could possibly raise that calcium, and we may need to make some adjustments during that time. Quarterly, you'll get a message every 4 months that it is time to change your salt cell. Do we have one up here? And there's instructions right on the control panel. Again, we'll go over that when we look
Is
at
that
the
the thing
controls.
where the filters are?
No. That's your silver ion cartridge.
Okay.
And that's changed every 4 months as well. That is this year.
So what's supposed to tell us that, or we're just supposed to know that?
Your controls will tell you it's time to change your freshwater cartridge.
So if it doesn't, and it's past 4 months, I mean, not, we're gonna
Means
do it
everything is
because
just fine.
we just leave it till it shows up, because
Yes.
we don't use ours as much as.
Yeah.
We love it, but when it's
Good.
hot, I don't wanna get in it.
Okay.
So
Oh,
this
yeah,
here.
that's what we got.
In that box.
Mhm. So this gets replaced approximately every 4 months. Okay. One other thing to mention is if you're going to have more use than normal, if you have family in town, things like that, one thing you can do ahead of time is boost the system. That's a choice on your controls, and we'll look at that real quick too. But what that does is it puts your system in towards producing chlorine for a period of 24 hours, and it just helps replace what you and your family are using during that time. So if there's extra use going on, it's a good idea to just hit that boost. It produces more chlorine during that time. It'll keep your water clear and help you maintain that 3 to 5 parts per million of chlorine. So about every 6 months or possibly every 12 months is when you'll drain and refill, okay? And then weekly maintenance, or your every 10-day maintenance, you know, you're going out, you're checking the water, you're balancing your alkalinity and pH, you are just confirming that the level on your salt system is good, and you're just running a test on the system to ensure everything is working properly. Anything to add, Jesse?
Pretty much covered everything.
Is the stain scale every 10 days too?
No, just when you first start up. It's the
Oh.
only time you need to worry about that.
That's, I mean, that's as long as you're, like you said, the more hardness you have in your water, the more often I recommend using that, because if you're struggling, going through a bunch of pillows and a bunch of water, it's often to get down to that level, that's gonna protect that calcium hardness from solidifying anything. So, I mean, it's just an extra step to prevent and protect your equipment, so.
Yeah.
The only time you would need to worry about it in that case is when you're adding water. Okay, so not on a regular basis.
So, like, we have hard water, which we know, and my toilets look awful because, and I use a pumice stone, but you're saying I don't, we've been adding that, but we don't have to add that every 10 days.
You do not.
It's supposed to be taken care of the minute we do it for setup.
That is correct. So if you're adding a significant amount of water, I would add it at that time.
And that's, so we don't have to do that. We've been doing it because, you know, I thought, I don't want any, I can't scrape that plastic
Sure.
shell like I can my toilet.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, I
on-
noticed you have something called enhanced shock. I don't own that. What's that for?
So that is a shock treatment that you can use if you have a lot of use. You can use the boost like we talked about, or some people prefer to add supplement with the enhanced shock. We generally don't recommend that. Your boost on your system is more than sufficient, and we prefer that you use that.
When, I see you have lots of wonderful products for joint, and I bought a conditioner, but I haven't tried that yet. does that require more cleaning on the part of my machine if I use that? Or is it harder on the machine? Or I just haven't been reluctant to try those things, but.
Sure, and that is an excellent question. So anything that's in a crystal form, you're not gonna wanna use in your hot tub because it's adding salts to the water and can potentially cause you to have to do a partial drain and refill part of the way through. Or even possibly plug up your cartridge.
Maybe it's pizzazz.
Yeah. But you can use the liquids, okay? So any liquids smell good,
Oh, okay.
you can definitely use.
And it'll just say on there how much, we have liquid conditioner, I just haven't used it, I'm scared to wreck my toy. But that's good to know, because
Yes.
sometimes you have a lot of people come, like there's a freshener over there. You wanna,
Yeah,
try
absolutely.
to add a little smell well, in the summer we had roses, well, there's no roses now. So, you kinda wanna spoof it up when you got 6, 8 people going in and
Or
out.
if you have a bunch of people,
Yeah.
what I've noticed that a bunch of people would come over, yeah, you have a few drinks, whatever, Then I would notice it's probably the makeup the ladies have got because foam, we're just throwing
Right.
foam
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
They're having a
Yes.
good time, but where'd that comb? Well, it's coming
2
from
feet
the
high.
So we're trying to have them shower before getting in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot
The
of that's
girls are
coming
looking pretty and
from,
all that falls in the water and that foam.
And then it gets
But I
the,
put that water foam or
It
that.
works.
Throw that in there and it'll cut it way down, but I think we got it under control now, but
I've had
we're
that
trying to
same
have them
problem.
shower
Yes.
first because
that's a really good point. So
It,
swimsuits, your washing machine does not get all the soap out.
well,
So
that's,
if-
yeah.
If you wash your swimsuits, we recommend that you put them through an extra rinse cycle.
Okay.
Just don't skinny dip.
That's right, why not?
Yeah, just sharpen your
And then guess what?
Skinny dipping and drinks and hot girls.
What's your address?
We want to talk about temperature. We were putting ours on 104, and several people told us that's really hot. You shouldn't be in there that long, and now we've turned it to 99. Is there a temperature that's too? We like 104. We stayed in there a long time. Sometimes
That's a
104.
great question. So it's really what your comfort level is and how long you want to stay in. 104 is the maximum. Okay, that's legal temperature. After that, your body temperature starts raising, and especially if someone has heart problems or things like that, we can experience some problems. So never higher than 104. Just find that comfort level. I'm a 15-minute person, so 102 is perfect for me. I'm in for 15 minutes. I am ready to get out. So it's really up to you.
Yeah, it's a doctor recommendation not to go over 104. So, like with our hot tub, if you know you can actually override and get hotter if you want when it turns red. That's because.
We backed it down to 99.
So it's not doctor recommended to go over 104. Yeah, it's just for what she was saying about body temperature raising. But like I said, on most of our hot tubs, you can see that you can actually override and get hotter, but it changes the color, and that's the biggest thing is the safety thing. It's about wanting.
I remember the old time, and every week it's like I am a little outdoor pool. It's more work than it's worth. But this, we leave it. We might not go in it for 2 months, and we come and we just put the cleanse on it, and we get in it, and it's wonderful.
Good.
It's really easy maintenance. I haven't noticed a change in my light bill, so it's not. And do we just leave it on and leave it at 99 even if you're not in it? And we haven't saw any changes.
Yeah, they're
When
not more
I
efficient.
got it up, when I brought the sample and he said, we just had a little pH or whatever, but my concern is that it's got a little bit of a, and I see something right there that says water clarified. It's got a little, he said ours is just fine when Mike looked at it. But if I'm looking in there, it's pretty clean, right? But I like it super clean, right? But anyhow, it's got a little bit of a murk in it.
Okay.
Can't really see in the test we brought with us, but in the big area, you can see it looks a little murky, so just put some of that clarifier
Yeah,
there. It
absolutely.
won't affect the pH or the, that
No,
kind of
it
stuff,
won't.
is that correct?
That is correct. But if your pH is high, it's high pH, especially
That will
over a long
cause it.
period of time, can cause cloudiness. So sometimes just lowering that pH, within 24 hours, it should clear right up.
So I might have too much, alcohol, or,
pH could be a little bit high.
Yep, you might be on the alkali side of things, yeah.
okay.
So we're gonna move to the controls, if that's all right.
Did any of you